A very good morning, my dear children. Today I'm back with one more interesting chapter of your subject SST, and that is your history chapter, chapter number 4, the Mughal Empire. So, again, I've divided this whole chapter in two parts. Today I'll be taking part 1 of this chapter. So, like the name of the chapter says, let me just ask the question that who were the Mughals? Before reading the whole chapter, we must have a deep knowledge of Mughals, that who were they, what was their background. So Mughals were basically related to two great lineages. One was from their mother's side and another was from their father's side. The mother's side was related to the Mongols, the Emperor Genghis Khan, and from the parents' father's side they belonged to the Timur side. But since the Mongols' image was not good in the society, as Genghis Khan and Mongol Emperor were involved in many of the massacres and bloodshed, so Mughals did not like to be associated with them. Rather, they felt very proud to be associated with the Timuride side, that is their father's side. The reason behind this is that Timur captured Delhi in the year 1398. I hope that you are clear with the concept of the Mughals, that who were the Mughals. Next says, you can say the whole hierarchy of the Mughals here. The founder of the Mughal Empire was Babur, and Aurangzeb was the sixth emperor of the Mughal ruler, with whom the Mughal emperor got declined and ended finally. So first came Babur, then his son Humayun, after him Akbar, then Jahangir, then Shah Jahan, and finally Aurangzeb. Now let's have a look over the classical period of the total Mughal Empire. Since I told you that Babur founded Mughal Empire, so it was founded in the year 1526, and Babur founded it. Then came Humayun. From 1530 to 1556, Humayun was a ruler. Then Akbar the Great. 1556 to 1605 was his time. After him came Jahangir, then Shah Jahan, and finally Aurangzeb was there, the last ruler of Mughal Empire, and his reign was a total of 1659 to 1707. In this slide, we will talk about that what was the tradition of the Mughal in terms of succession. So here I want to make one point very clear, that the Mughals did not follow the system of primogeniture, that is the rule of the eldest son to get the throne. No, they were not following this rule, that only the eldest son will get the throne. Rather, they followed corpusculary inheritance, that is where all the sons will get the equal empire. Equal empire will be divided among all the sons. But since all of them were involved in the powers and in the total empire, in the total powers of the whole empire, so it gave rise to so many conflicts and rebellions within the family. Next slide talks about that what was the relation and how was the relation of the Mughals with other rulers. So one thing I want to make very clear in this slide is that Mughals did not like those rulers and those kingdoms that did not favor them. Rather, they took a great side of only those rulers who were in great favor of Mughals. So many Indian rulers, they started accepting Mughal supremacy, and the Mughal campaigned and fought against rulers who did not obey the Mughals. Then they married the Rajput daughters, and what happens? So, and in fact, the Rajputs, marry their daughters in the Mughal families, so that they get a very higher position in the Mughal Empire. One of the Rajput family, the Sisodia Rajputs, they did not accept Mughal supremacy. And this was done for a very long period of time, but they got defeated by the Mughals. Once they got defeated by the Mughals, what they have to do? They had to give them back their whole land. And finally, what happened? They started making vessels of the Mughal Empire. Now, what happened? Since Mughals had a policy of defeating the whole empire and capturing the whole empire, but along with this fact, one thing that was a very good part from the Mughal side was that these people did not humiliate their enemies. They simply believed in winning over their enemies, but they did not humiliate, they did not discourage, or they did not in this sense they did not humiliate their enemies. So this really helped the Mughal Empire to rule over many parts of India. Next is the concept of MANSABDARS and JAGIRDARS. Now, what is a Mansabdar? Who is a Mansabdar and what is a Mansab? Mansabdar means a man who has a Mansab, and Mansab means a position or a rank. So this means that a person who holds a particular rank or position in the kingdom, that person is known as a Mansabdar. Now, there was a system of grading. A grading system, whom we call as Mansabdari, is there. And this grading system will decide the rank, the salary, and all the other responsibilities, including the military responsibilities of the government officials. The higher the rank, the higher the salary, and the lower the rank, the lower the salary of a Mansabdar. And this whole rank and salary of a person of the Mansabdars were dependent on a Zat. Now, Zat means the numerical value. The higher numerical value means the higher salary and higher rank, and the lower numerical value means the lower Zat. So, during Akbar's rule, a Mansabdar's salary was basically equals to the revenue that the Mughal Empire got from their Jagir. Now, who is a Jagir? Jagir was a person basically having a piece of land, or who was basically a landlord. So, the more the Jagir received by the Mughal Empire, the more will be the salary of the Mansabdars. Then came, but this whole system of Mansabdari got changed during Aurangzeb, as the number of Mansabdars increased, but the number of Jagirs decreased. So there was what happened? So the whole system got changed in this. One thing I want to add in this slide is that the Aurangzeb, who was the last ruler of the Mughal Empire, was a very brutal ruler. He did not believe in the religious policies, religious tolerance that used to be followed by other rulers. The term religious tolerance will be discussed in the next slides and in the next part of the chapter. Next, it talks about Zabt and zamindars. So here they are saying that the main source of income for the Mughals came from taxes. These taxes were used to be levied, were used to be charged on whom? On the farm produced, on the peasants. Peasants had to pay taxes to the headman, who is a head over there, or the local chieftains. So the local chief there. So the peasants were supposed to pay the taxes to them. Then during Akbar's reign, there was a man called Todarmal, and he used to collect the taxes and he used to fix the taxes on each part of land. Now Todarmal took around 10 years to have a deep research on the crop yield and what amount of tax should be charged on particular land and crops. So what he did, he divided the whole province into different revenue circles, mean different parts, different revenue parts. This area will provide this much tax, this area will provide this much tax. So this was divided into revenue circles. They have their own rates. Each revenue circle had its own rate of tax for each crop, and this revenue system, is known as Zabt, Z-A-B-T. Next is, then the Mughal administrators really exploited the peasants, and with this one revolt was started, and suddenly it took a very huge speed in the end of the 17th century. So this was a total for today's session. The next session we will be talking about some interesting facts about Akbar, then some interesting other facts, plus his religious tolerance policy and datelines also. So please stay tuned and go through this total presentation once again. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.